So anyway, you've got the class meetings that you can now view. And then we're in week 4. No, we're in week 5. You should have taken the basic math test. Now, I'm trying to keep everybody together. We did the conversions, we're doing the conversions for other clinical applications today. There's a small 26-point assignment on it. It's nothing major. You've got a time and temperature discussion, and you've got a Chapter 6 discussion. So what I want y'all to do for Chapter 6, it's just, it talks about syringes, it talks about medicine cups, it talks about all the little things that we use to give medicines. So this time I want y'all to read Chapter 6 in your book, and you can read the notes here, and then answer to the discussion. It's a scenario type situation. What can you do to prevent? What could you have done to prevent the error? And then on Thursday, we're going to come back and discuss medication orders. Okay, so we're going to interpret drug orders. So print these two. This is print and bring to class. Bring those to class on Thursday, because that's what we're going to work on. One of them is medication. They're both medication orders. We have medication labels that we're going to do next week. So anyway, that's where we're at with that. You have 2 discussions and a little homework. If you don't get them all done this week, that's fine. They don't have to be done before we start class on Thursday. The Chapter 6 discussion is due like October 1st, but it's open-ended. Don't forget about it because it'll eventually give you a 0. But if you don't get it done until the 3rd or 4th, you're still okay. Same thing with the time and temperature discussion. It says it's due the 24th. That's Thursday, but it's got an open date. It doesn't lock on you. So if you don't get it done Thursday, you get it done Friday, you're still okay. I don't deduct for late work when it comes to something I don't have locked. Okay? So I'm going to get out of that.
You said read Chapter 6 before Thursday?
No, before you do the discussion.
Okay.
Okay? I mean, it'd probably help if you read it before Thursday, but you don't have to. Because I mean, I know y'all have other classes that are just as demanding as this one. And I'm not going to be cold-hearted. Though I can be cold-hearted. All right. So. I'm zooming in, but I gotta have a little more room to work here. When we talk about clock time, or time, and in the medical profession, we have what's basically 12-hour clock time, which is what we're on now, okay? You make a doctor's appointment at the clinic, they'll tell you to be there at 2 p.m. or 2:20 p.m. or 8 a.m. or 8:15. So this is just, and this is what's also called standard time. And then we have our international. Which is also known as military time. I'm going to have to look up spell military. I feel like I'm spelling it wrong. But it's military time. It's 24-hour clock time. So in the healthcare profession, when you're recording stuff, recording things in a patient's chart, it's all going to be recorded in 24-hour clock time, or military time, or international time, whatever it tells you. Let's try this other button. That'll make it a little bit easier to see. If somebody wants to go put one of the light switches and shut the door, that'll help too. Thank you. That's the worst circle I've drawn today. So we always have our 12. I've got to draw my quarters in, and then I still don't get them even. It's hard to be even when you've got an oblong clock or lopsided clock. But you guys get the idea. That's my clock, my 12-hour clock. And this is AM, PM time. When we're dealing with military time, the 12 o'clock or noon or whatever, if it's midnight, it's going to be 2400 or 0100, depending on the branch of the military you're in. It can also depend on the institution you're working at. Some hospitals do 0100 for midnight, some will do 2400. Same thing with nursing homes or any 24-hour healthcare facility. The hospice center does it. They'll, I don't know which one they use, but they'll use one or the other. My nephew is in the Navy, and I've got a cousin that's in the Marines. And I was asking them, and now I can't remember which, this has been several years ago, but one of them, and I think it's the Navy that uses 0100 for midnight, and the Marines that uses 2400 for midnight. And the Marines and the Navy work together because the Marines are always, a lot of times they're on the Navy ships being transported. And so they have a hard time communicating midnight. But anything past 12, the only time you're going to use the 2400 or the 0100 is straight at midnight. Because if we're talking, get my pen straight. If we're talking 12:01 p.m., okay, that's midnight. It's just, hang on, 12:01 a.m. 12:01 p.m. is after lunch. So 12:01 a.m. is 0101 minute. Okay, so I'm not going to use 24:01 because it's after midnight. It's now mornings, and mornings are always, AM is always less than 12, PM is always greater than 12. Okay, so if I'm going through here and I'm writing military time, 1 AM is 0100. Okay. 2 a.m. is 0200. When you're writing this, in your clock time and military time, your first 2 digits is hours. Your second 2 digits are minutes. So it's always a 4-digit number. First 2 being the hour. So if it's less than 10, it's going to be 0 in the number. Then 10 is already a 2-digit number. So 300 is 0300. 400, 0400, 0500, 0600, 0700, 0800, and 0900. 10 is just 1000, 11 is 1100, and then noon, 12 noon, is 1200. Okay? If I wanted to do 1230, I do 1230. Then once we go around after lunch, 1 p.m., I'm adding 12 to my number. So 1 p.m. is 1300, because 12 plus 1 gives me 13. 2 p.m. is 1400. 3 is 1500. 4 is 1600. 5 is 1700. 6 is 1800. 7 is 1900. 8 becomes 2000. 9 is 21. 10 is 22. 11 is 23. And then midnight is 24. 4000. Okay? So the key points to remember that AM is, like 0100. It's less than 12. PM, be like 1300. It's greater than 12. You're running for the PM, we're adding 12. So we're going to talk mostly about this, the international time. So what time is my watch is dead. I've got 1:55 p.m. If I wanted to write this in military time, okay, or international time, I'm going to add 12 to my 1. That gives me 1300. I don't do anything to my minutes. They just drop straight down pretty much. So it's 13:55. No colon, no AM, PM. We know it's PM time because it's greater than 12. And I know the hours is the first 2 digits and the minutes is the second 2 digits. So it's 55 minutes after 1, at 13:55. If I wanted to convert 3:05 p.m., that used to be my favorite time of day when I taught high school. I was counting the minutes from the time I got there at 7:15 to 3:05. My last class was basketball girls. They were my worst class. I had an issue. I had an issue with a couple of those girls. Anyway, so I want to write it to military time. I'm going to add 12 to my 3. That gives me 1500. And then my minutes, 05. No colon, no AM, PM. Okay. Now, when I worked at the high school, I had to be there at 7:15 a.m. to write that in military time. And I'm going to say military time because it's what I'm used to saying. It's 7. It's not a 2-digit number. It's AM, so it's going to be less than 12. So it's just 0715. 0715. And we have to be able to go back and forth. I guess it helps if y'all can see it, right? So if I gave you 0421, that's what time it is. That's what time my dog got up to want me to go outside. Want to go outside because there was a black and white dog, or a brown and white dog out there. So is this AM or PM time? AM. So I'm going to write it as just a single 4, right? And my colon and my minutes are the last 2. So 4:21 AM. So that's, AM, PM time or standard time. Then you're going to have to put the colon in the AM, PM. And I try to go to bed every night at 20:45. So what time do I try it? Because I get up at 5:30, but what time do I go to bed every night? 8:45. And to get 20, to get it to be 8, I'm subtracting 12 from the 20. So it's 8:45 p.m. Actually, if I go to bed earlier than that, I will. One night, let's see, was it Monday night? No, that was last night. It was last Thursday night. I went to bed at 6:15. I had a really bad headache. I went to bed at 6:15. I got up at 1 something and I was up the rest of the night. What about 0009? Did you say 1209? AM or PM? AM. Because the zeros is less than 12, right? So it's going to be AM. And we talked about, we use 0, for any time between midnight and 1. So that gives me the 12, and then my minutes are 09. So it's 12:09 AM. So how are y'all doing with this? Not bad? This is probably the easiest stuff we'll do all semester. All right. Sometimes we have to tell the time or how long it's been between two given times. Hang on, it's Miss Mary. Yes, ma'am? Yes, ma'am? Right before 3. Do you need me to stop by there? Yes, ma'am. I will be right out the door. Bye. Sorry. That was Miss Mary. I'll be right back. Don't tell anybody I'm walking without a crutch. And whoever said walking in a boot was easy? Somebody was supposed to also say, "Hey, Michelle, you forgot your mask." My bad. Y'all wear them. I don't wear them unless I'm walking down the hallway or going out to my car or in Walmart, and I stay away from Walmart. So I don't, when I'm sitting behind the plexiglass, I don't have to wear it so y'all can hear me. I'm sitting in my office, I don't have to wear it because I'm the only one there. So I forget my mask half the time. All right. Yeah, the problem that I was looking for. Now, sometimes we have to determine the time or how long it's been from like 23:16 to 03:28. How many hours and how many minutes has passed? Okay? And I have to do this one because I'm going from PM one day to AM the next. I'm going past midnight. So I have to count this out. I'm like, okay, it's 23:16. So then in 1 hour, it's going to be 24:16. That's midnight. Then my next hour is 1:16. And then I've got 2:16. And then I have to look, okay, this is 3:28. 28 is greater than 16. So I can say, okay, 03:16. That's 1, 2, 3, 4 hours. Well, there's my hours, but I've got to go from 03:16 now to 03:28. How many minutes do I have? Okay, is it 12? Because, see, 28 is greater than 16, so I do 28 minus 16. Yeah, so I've got 4 hours and 12 minutes. Okay, so sometimes you've got to do, it's called elapsed time. How much time has gone by? We do that with IVs sometimes. Sometimes we do that with, how long a patient's been in the ER. Because you really don't want a patient down in the ER for very long, unless they don't. My dad had to go to the ER here the other night, here at St. Bernard's. He spent the whole night in the ER because they didn't have a bed for him. And yet, that's not comfortable for him because it's constantly busy down there. All right, but anyway, now, if I'm going AM to PM, and here's something else I got to look for. I got 35 minutes, I got 50 minutes that I'm going to. So, I still can't do that. But I can take the 21, and I can subtract the 09, and that's going to tell me how many hours. But I'm going to remember, going AM to PM. I'm all within the same day. Is that 12? Yeah. So I've got 12 hours, but now to go from 35 to 50. So again, I'm starting at 35. So I got 45 and 50. So there's 10 minutes. 5 minutes, right? So 12 hours, 15 minutes. So, you've got to be careful about when you're talking minutes. I can't just always straight out subtract. I'm not going to try to confuse you too much because we'll hit this again when we need it, but there's something else we're going to do. Now, the last thing is temperature. And we're talking body temperature. When we take a person's temperature, or we take our temperature, I should say. When we take our temperature, we take it in Fahrenheit. All right? 98.6 is normal temperature in Fahrenheit. 32 degrees is freezing in Fahrenheit. In Celsius, 0 is freezing. Fahrenheit is 212 degrees is boiling, but in Celsius it's 100 degrees. Celsius is a metric, but it's still based on tens, okay? So, here's my formulas. They're the same formulas that we use in physical science, but instead of not trying to remember where I use 9/5 and where I use 5/9, I use 1.8. And these are just, for some reason, easier to remember. So if I'm looking for my degrees Fahrenheit, it means I know my degrees Celsius. I'm doing 1.8 times the degrees Celsius plus 32. If I'm looking for my degrees Celsius, so I know my degrees Fahrenheit, I'm subtracting 32 and then dividing by 1.8. Okay? Now, the reason we use 32 is because there's 32 degrees difference in the freezing point. That's our starting point. With the Celsius, it's at 0. It doesn't have anything below 0. I mean, I'm sure it does, but it doesn't on the thermometer that shows. And of course, we're down here to 0, but there's 32 degrees from 0 to 32 on the Fahrenheit. Then there is, it's just 0 on the Celsius, so 32 degrees difference. And then our fraction. So 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit. That's normal body temperature. All right. So what is normal body temperature in degrees Celsius? 37. To prove it, I'm looking for degrees Celsius. So I'm going to take the 98.6, subtract the 32, and divide by 1.8. So if you want to use your phone calculator, you can. I'm not picky about that. 98, except for on the test. 98.6 minus 32. I get 66.6 divided by 1.8 equals 37. So it's 37 degrees Celsius. I had a college professor when I was in grad school tell me these were plug and chug, or make a comment about plug and chug equations or formulas, because all we're doing is taking the number we already know, putting it in the formula, and doing the math. They told me this morning, because I asked, 100.4 degrees is the temperature you're supposed to have when you have COVID. Okay, that's the I want to say the cutoff, but that's the starting point. You've got a temp of 100.4 or over. So if I wanted to know, well, what's that temperature in Celsius? Working on the floor and I'm looking, what's that temperature in Celsius? So same process, 100.4 minus 32 over to 1.8. So 100.4 minus the 32, 68.4 divided by the 1.8, and I get 38 degrees Celsius. Now, the reason, and this is just my reasoning behind this, because 98.6 is an average body temperature, okay? Let's see, one of my kids ran about a 98, 97.8, 98. They ran a lower body temperature, which was fine. It's, because 98.6 is just average. My son would run closer to 99, or 99 point something. He didn't run. My kids aren't normal. Never have been, never will be. Off the subject a minute, but you'll get a laugh, I hope, out of this. You've heard people on TV and YouTube and Facebook that they pretend to be really Southern and really country and really hick. I mean, I can be really hick when I want to be. My son went for a job interview to get on the towboat. And my son is just as normal as he just went to the interview as he is. He didn't put on airs, he didn't put down airs. The guy that interviewed him called him back for telling he had the job. He said, son, he said, you're as country ever was. But you're not normal, Keith. He talks like a hick. An educated hick, but he talks like a hick. He's got that Southern drawl down pat. I've got a Southern drawl, but not that bad. All right. But, so my idea, the 37, the reason they went to the 100.4 is because it's a 38. It's a degree more than normal. So they went on the Celsius scale, they went up 1 degree. That's the reason I think that they went with the 100.4 for the COVID. My opinion, it's worked about as much as nothing. So going back to finding temperatures. What if somebody comes in and they have a temperature of 36.5? Oops, not Fahrenheit. Well, they'd be have hypothermia. Okay, so we're looking for degrees Fahrenheit, and it's 1.8 times my degrees Celsius plus 32 this time. So 1.8 times the 36.5 plus the 32. And I get 97.7. So could we consider that person to have a normal body temperature? Kinda.
Maybe.
Maybe. He may be on a little on the cold side.
My temp usually runs around 97.6.
Usually, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm normal. I'm 98.6 all day long. I even think sometimes I have a fever because I don't, my head's hot or whatever. Nope, 98.6. I don't know, but I mean, I know when I really have a fever, but yeah. All right, what if somebody comes in, of course, we already know that 37 is normal, but what if they come in with a temperature of 39? That's just 2 degrees above normal on the Celsius scale. But how high is their temperature?
I don't know. Why don't you show us?
I'm waiting on y'all to figure it out.
101.
You got 101? Let me try this again. I got 102.2 both times I did it. So 1.8 times 39 plus the 32. I do it by hand. Shoot, 8 times 9 is 72. 8 times 3 is 24.
31.
31. 30. It's 10, 1, 2, 3, 6, 7. Oh, 7, yeah, okay, 0.2. Then I've got to add the 32. I'm like, wait a minute, subtract. So this is 2, 7 and 3 is 10, so I still get 102.2. You may have clicked on the wrong button or something on the calculator. Okay. So would we consider them having a fever?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so what do y'all think? You need more examples, or are we all good? So say sometimes I just keep going. They're easy and I'm just wasting time. Now I feel like I'm wasting time, and I waste enough of everybody's time. Yeah. All right, so questions. Remember to read chapter 6 before you do the discussion on chapter 6. Do the discussion on time and temp. Do the homework on the conversions and time and temp. And I'll see y'all on Thursday. Don't forget to print that stuff off.